Production.
My friends, what's going on? So we're going to look over the Nasdaq, the S&P in this video. So in the last video I posted, which was about a week ago, I basically was explaining the significance of the 8 EMA and the 20 EMA and what happens when they cross, right? So over here we have a bullish cross when the 8 EMA crosses above the 20 EMA. This is showing demand in the stock and that the trends could be reversing. And then what happened was we had many months of a huge uptrend where we used the 8 EMA and the 20 as support. Now, again, we had this for months, and then we had this topping period starting in November 2021. And then we had a bearish cross with the EMAs here where the 8 EMA goes under, which means that the bears are now pushing price downward and that there's a huge resistance in the charts. So again, just like I said, but opposite, the 8 EMA and the 20 EMA during this period of time are used as resistance instead of support. So what happened here is we got way, and this is the weekly time frame just to make things clear. We get too far extended from the 8 EMA, right? Look what happens when we get too far extended from the 8 EMA on the bullish market. Sorry. The bull market, when we get too far extended, we tend to come back here. So we come back to the 8 and then we also try to test the 20. Same thing up here. We get way too far detached from the 8 and then we go to test the 20. It's the same thing, except opposite. We get too far detached from the 8 and then we go to test the 8 or the 20. So what I'm expecting here is we're going to get a nice bounce, right? I haven't touched anything in this chart. This is the exact same chart from last week, and we ended up getting a nice little 10% bounce in the markets essentially. So that bounce that has happened is a relief bounce. This is what, like, look what happened here, right? We had a lot of people thinking, oh, this is the bottom, including me, right? This is the bottom. And then 3-4 weeks later, we get that massive correction. Excuse me. So could this be the bottom? Sure, it definitely could be. But we do have to be aware of the fact that the bears are in control in this downtrend. When they come up to retest this 20 EMA, are we going to get a resistance at that level, right? Which could very well happen. So, and then again, we're going to have to look for a higher low. So we're going to need something like, if we do come test that 20 EMA up here, we're going to need to see a higher low being created to make it more evident that this is the bottom, right? That there is a trend that's being changed in the overall markets. Again, this is the Nasdaq. But that's what we will be looking for. So far, the volume looks pretty solid. We need this to continue, right? We need to see continued bull volume for it to be marked as some sort of bottom. But overall, things are looking pretty interesting. Now, again, we won't see it if you noticed here. The bottom was in March 2020 after the Corona crash, right? That was the bottom. We didn't see the bullish cross until 5-6 weeks later. So if this is the bottom, 5 to 6 weeks, maybe a little bit more, is when we're going to see that bullish cross of the 8 EMA. So is it time right now to buy all stocks? I wouldn't say all stocks, but I would say ones that you have strong conviction in for sure. Blue chips, apples, like big tech. This would be a good time to be buying big tech. An even better time for the overall market is when there is that 8 EMA crossing over the 20 on the Nasdaq, which is something we will be looking for in the next few weeks. In the meanwhile, we want to see, are we going to regain that 8 EMA? Are we going to hold it, right? Because look what happens over here. We regain the 8 and we use it as support. So we need to see that happen on multiple charts, right? Including the Nasdaq itself. So now when we look at the S&P, very similar situation. I'm not going to make it twice, but essentially the bullish cross, right? The bearish cross. Support being held during an uptrend, and then resistance being used during a downtrend. And the 8 EMAs are what the support and the resistance are, what I'm referring to. But now what we're looking at, I think, is pretty important, is that this support here, right? It was support for many weeks. We come above, we retest, we break below. Is this going to act as resistance now that we've broken below? And maybe we could be continuing the downtrend, right? I don't want to just rule it out and we're not calling bottoms here in this video. We are simply observing the market. Could this be acting as resistance right now and we come to maybe double bottom? Potentially. We could also be potentially trying to make some sort of lower low here. That could also happen. So I don't want to rule out that we're all bullish, it's all in the clear now. Like, that's not necessarily what I'm saying. So these are the things that I'm trying to be aware of when I'm looking at the markets right now. I still think it's a great time to be dollar cost averaging into the stocks, cryptocurrencies, commodities, pretty much anything that you have conviction in. It's going to be great to be dollar cost averaging into those. So that's what I'm doing. I'm dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, and I'm going to start picking the blue chips that I want to long-term invest in and have those on my long-term portfolio and start dollar cost averaging into those as well. So there's many different things you could do. If this bullish cross comes and we start to get more momentum in the market, it could be time to pick up the trading up again, where we look for those bullish patterns. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But that is the overall market breakdown. Sorry that I took a nice little week off. Sometimes you need a little break. Give the boy a little break here. Peace.